And this is what's happening with the guy Alex Morse. I think that's his name. I could be botching his name, but anyway, there's this guy who's a lefty and he's a gay dude and he's running against like the worst corporate Democrat. And then there were these BS accusations against him of like sexual inappropriateness or whatever. All it was is he was using dating apps and dating other consenting adults. But the scandal was that he was once a lecturer at a university and the people he was dating were students, but they weren't his students and they were all of age. Mm-hmm. So in other words, it's consenting adults going on dates. Yeah. And they tried to say like, no, that's not appropriate because they're students. And it's like, but he wasn't their teacher. But they're like, no, that's inappropriate. And it's like, this is how easy it is. And then what happened was some of the groups like Justice Democrats and
disassociate with him.
Sunshine Movement, they Sunrise Movement, excuse me. They didn't totally back away from him, but they did a little bit. And it was like even the little bit made me just feel anger because it's like, come on, man. Why can we never, for whatever reason, people on the left, when it comes to claims of like victimhood and stuff, nobody's cool with just calling bullshit, which is being like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I think this is total bullshit. Nobody's cool with doing that anymore. And you always have to, go out there and be like, well, we have to make sure we respect the feelings and people and, what they were feeling in that instance. And it's like, if you're never just going to call bullshit when there's bullshit, you're going to get destroyed every single time. Because all any Republican has to do and all any corporate Democrat has to do is just bring up some sort of BS accusation. And then immediately you fold or you semi-fold and you're basically handing the election over to your opponents. And it's like a left-wing movement that doesn't understand that we actually got to come together and we actually got to say fuck off to people who are trying to derail us. We're hopeless without that. And unfortunately, it's just so easy to undermine left-wing movements by using our ideas against us. And one of the ideas is like, oh, we have to be willing to listen to victims and we need to make sure we're good people and we denounce bad things. And it's like, they're going to use that against you all the time.
And when it happens to someone that they don't want it to happen to, like Joe Biden, they just use that argument of like, no, that's not a credible source or something like that.
Okay, but now here's the difference. That's the liberals. That's like the Democrats who do that. I'm talking about the actual left, like the good people. Joe Biden's not good. But his people, like the liberals, the Democrats, they know to just brush it off and be like, fuck off. But the actual left,
like Bernie supporters and shit like that?
Exactly. They'll shoot each other. They'll immediately. DSA immediately denounced this guy when there were the accusations. But the accusations weren't even like accusations.
That's bad. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, but this is what they do. This is what the left does. Like, I just want everybody to know how virtuous I am, so I want you to know that I'm against sexual assault, all right? Okay, we're all against sexual assault. What does that have to do with what happened in this guy's case? Nothing at all. Yeah. You just want to take the moment to like grandstand and moralize and act like, just so everybody knows, we're better than that. We're above that. And it's like, they're going to do this to every single one of your candidates, you absolute buffoons. And they're going to do it because they know it's going to work. It's so easy to undermine the left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that the right does well is like they get behind their people
they
no
tell
matter
everybody
what.
To fuck off. Exactly. Yeah. There was that guy, Republican. His name is Scott Desjardins. He ran on family values. I think he's from Tennessee. He ran on family values, being like super Christian. This guy had an affair, knocked up his mistress, forced his mistress to get an abortion. Homeboy got reelected. Homeboy got reelected. Because you know what? What those people say? They say, oh, wait, is he going to be a vote in favor of the things I want? He is? Okay, I don't care about those stuff. Like, who cares? Whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. But, like, obviously I'm going to vote for him. That's how they think. On the left, somebody whispers about, in 1992, this person said something that was slightly off color and offended me at a bar.
And it's
canceled, gone, out of here, you're done, sick of it.
And they're like nowhere to even be found forever again. Like the one guy from SNL from Minnesota, who was on the plane, Senator.
Oh, Al Franken.
Al Franken, like he was. I don't know if I think he was good, right? And then it's just like that whole shit went down.
Was pretty flimsy.
Yeah, and it's just like, but like he's never seen again. It's like he's not even like
Gone.
it's like it's sad that like that's the level that it gets to with even like Bernie supporters who you would tend to think would keep it more real and be like, hold on, what's the story? Oh, they were all of age. He wasn't teaching them. Nah, that's nothing.
I mean, you see the good, like there are good people who do respond like that. Like Glenn Greenwald was like going to bat for this guy on Twitter.
But didn't that guy go after Buttigieg trying to say some shit that he was like grooming his husband or something like that because he had more power over him?
Well, yeah,
like
but he was saying that facetiously.
Oh,
he was
was
like,
he? Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to say like this is seriously a problem. He was trying to say like if we're going to talk about power, that's the big one, Core, is people say power dynamics and how that's a problem. And it's like,
Molly was talking about that in the HR world of things.
Yes, but what people do is they start stretching that to absurd places. Mm-hmm. So in the example that Molly and I were talking about, there is a real power dynamic problem. There's a real power dynamic problem because it's directly your boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's coercion there. There's a power imbalance, and then you also have a situation where maybe you're playing favorites because this is somebody who like you're sleeping with or you're dating or whatever. And then maybe this other person who deserved the promotion didn't get the promotion because you're trying to get your D wet. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like, that's a real problem.
Or P word.
Oh my God. The Ben Shapiro thing. We could talk about that in a second if you want, but,
wet ass or wet
ass P word.
What a clown.
What was I saying? Oh, the power.
The power
yeah. Balance. Yeah. But what people, when you get to the point where you say, okay, we got somebody in their early 20s over here, right? And we got a 30-year-old over here. They're dating. This person happens to be a lecturer at a school. This person is a student at the school, but he's not a student of this guy. I look at that and I say, that's totally fine. They don't know each other. They never met each other. There's no actual power relationship there. By the way, this guy who was a mayor from a young age, this guy Alex Morse, when he would meet people, he wouldn't even tell them like, oh, I'm a mayor or I'm this or I'm that. So it's almost like he went out of his way to get rid of any kind of, he didn't want to intimidate them by letting them know like I'm a mayor or whatever.
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to be good on the power imbalance front, but they still trotted it out and acted like there was a power imbalance or whatever. And what was happening was, you could have an experience with somebody where it's totally consensual, and then a week later, the person decides, like, I don't know if I enjoyed it, and so now I'm going to say that's not it's like, no, that's not the way this works. Either there's consent or there's not consent. You can't do the thing where, like, way after and then say, I learned he was a mayor, and that hurt my feeling. What are you talking about? So what happens is people are now stretching stuff, Core, to absurd places, and then pretending like that example is the exact same as the one me and Molly were talking about. And it's just not. Like, that's not the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. And what you're doing is you're taking the venom and the bite and the sharpness out of real instances of sexual assault and sexual harassment and all this stuff.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think it leads knowing someone's position of power could, like, I guess, change the dynamic of a relationship or something. And there was this show, Millionaire Matchmaker, I watched with, I love that shit. Her name was like Patty Stranger. She was like the matchmaker. And there was a football player who had like went on a date with this girl, and he had like this crazy past with like ex-wives and children and all this stuff. And like he had just gone on the date with her and everything was fine. And then they had a great date. And then they had like a second date, and she came back and was like, oh, I Googled you and I found out all this information about your previous ex-wife and, you know, your kids and this and that. And like, then shit like went off the rails a little bit. And then she almost was like saying like the first date was a little weird that he did this. So like it changes the dynamic of the relationship once you know something about someone. So like, I don't know, it could get weird if you find out someone's like a professor at the same school as you, and it just makes things, I don't know, it makes things awkward. I mean, it doesn't make it not right.
Yeah, but okay, then don't see the person anymore. Don't go to a me outlet or whatever and act like now I was uncomfortable with this, so now it was inappropriate.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't inappropriate. No, that it wasn't inappropriate. Now you're just uncomfortable with it, so move on. You can't act like that's him doing some sort of sexual assault or sexual harassment or whatever. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And again, the power imbalance thing, this is what people don't want to acknowledge, that there are so many instances of gray areas, and there are instances of like just piss off their consenting adults and it's not a power imbalance. You know what I mean? So like you could make an argument that there are some people who are so famous that anybody who they meet, they have a massive power imbalance with. Or so wealthy that whoever they meet, they have a massive power imbalance with. So what about those people? Should they never be able to have sex or date anybody? Just because, hey, sorry, you're really powerful, so you can't date anybody because it's coercive by definition.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how absurd it gets. I
think, yeah, you're right. I think things just like look weird on the optics, but at the end of the day, like it's still like people get upset when like Anna Nicole Smith is dating like some super old guy. But at the end of the day, like she's old enough to make a decision that like for whatever reason she's with him. It's weird to see that, but it's still fine if they're both like okay with the situation. But she can't come out after the fact and be like, oh, I was like,
I was coerced.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just can't do it.